and James Spader collide during 2 days in the Valley.
New York. You know, gunshot wounds are not entirely unfamiliar territory to me. And my opinion was that they were both stable. I wanted 2 ORs, I didn't get them. I had to make a choice.
And that's not the last ethical choice Hugh Grant will have to make, playing an emergency room doctor who stumbles upon a cover-up in Extreme Measures. I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. The doctor played by Hugh Grant handles so many cases in the ER of a big New York hospital that he can't pay close attention to every one. But when one apparently homeless man dies and his body seems to completely disappear, Grant wonders why. And the more he tries to track down the man's body and his records, the more stone walls he runs up against.
Well, you sure know how to pick them. I mean, we have been about this system since they put it in.
Let me get this absolutely straight. You're saying someone has deleted all this stuff out, right?
Confused, Grant goes to the morgue looking for the body, but it isn't there. I like Hugh Grant's performance in Extreme Measures. He seems more like an intern here than like an action hero, and that makes the plot more convincing.
Your hospital's known for losing patients, living and dead.
What did you say?
Gene Hackman co-stars as a brilliant medical researcher who seems to have a keen interest in the same kinds of homeless, anonymous men that Grant keeps losing track of.
Is there anybody you'd like us to contact? Do you have any family?
Oh, my daughter, but...
When was the last time you saw her?
Oh, not since 1978.
When Grant refuses to get discouraged and keeps on asking the wrong questions about the missing patients, he is framed with a phony drug bust.
Obviously, you know, what I'm having trouble with here is trying to understand why it's so easy for all of you to believe that I just threw my life away. Which was, after all, going quite well. You know, why I suddenly just, out of the blue, took up drugs and threw it all away.
I want to talk about the way this movie combines the entertainment value of a thriller with some intelligent dialogue about very serious issues. It turns out that Grant and Hackman are on opposite sides of a very high ethical fence. And at a key moment in the movie, they engage in a debate about those issues, and it's well written and well acted. Extreme Measures works well as a thriller, but unlike most thrillers, it also gives you something to talk about and think about when the movie's over.
Well, the thing that I want to talk about most is what you mentioned first, which is Hugh Grant's work in this picture. Because here's a guy who's been praised as a wonderful light comedian, and he can certainly do that. We see it in 4 Weddings and a Funeral. But here, he is an absolutely compelling central figure in a thriller, and one that's action-filled. And I think why he's so good is because it's what we've been crying for a long time on the show. He's smart.
Yes.
His dialogue is smart. He talks like somebody you might actually meet. He's very sharp and very witty and very cutting. He could be at the center of a command post barking out these kinds of one-liners. It's all credible, and I think actually that's more responsible for the excitement in this story than that interchange that you're talking about, which comes from me much too late in the picture. I wish there had been more of Gene Hackman earlier on in the film.
Well, Hackman is so good in the film that I do too. One neat thing about Hugh Grant here, he's been criticized in the past for stuttering too much,
blinking,
apologizing too much, blinking too much, pushing back his hair too much. All of those mannerisms are gone. We see him almost like through a cleanly washed window now. We can see Hugh Grant and not all of the little ticks, and it's a great performance.
And it's also a smart career choice. Part of being a movie star these days, when you're working alone without studio support like the old days, is not just acting well, it's choosing your projects well. This is a real smart move for him. Okay, next movie in our next film is a real triumph by a great English filmmaker who isn't a household name yet, but certainly deserves to be. He's Mike Leigh, and he makes uncommonly powerful films about middle-class characters who seem absolutely real. In his new film, Secrets and Lies, he takes us inside a couple of English families struggling not so much with having little money, and some of them have very little, as with years of built-up bitterness, in one case built on a big secret. The expose is triggered when a black optometrist, played by Marianne Jean-Baptiste, who is a recent orphan, tries to locate her birth mother.
Look, it says she's white. Sorry? Mother white. Well, it's perfectly feasible that your mother was white, isn't it?
That leads to a most difficult phone call.
No, I mean baby Elizabeth Purley.
Baby Elizabeth? Who is this?
The mother is played memorably by Brenda Blethyn. She and her daughter do meet, but before they successfully establish a friendship, their first meeting is heartbreaking.
I'm ever so sorry, sweetheart. It must be a bit of a disappointment for you.
The final act of this film is truly brilliant theater, as the two women struggle with revealing the secret to the white woman's family, which includes another illegitimate daughter.
Happy birthday, sweetheart.
Roxanne.
Happy birthday.
I think this picture actually might change a few lives. We're always asked if pictures can ever do it. Usually the answer is no, not even the best pictures. This one just might, because to see it is to want to break loose secrets and grudges and bitterness in one's own life. Secrets and Lies, clearly one of the year's best films.
Oh, it sure is. And after High Hopes, Life is Sweet, Naked, and now Secrets and Lies, Mike Leigh is at the top of his form. He works with these actors. They improvise the characters.
Right.
They have workshops. They have role-playing sessions. The dialogue coalesces out of that. And you get a scene like the scene where she takes her daughter to this family birthday party.
Right.
Nobody knows that that's her daughter. And he holds the camera unmoving on a table in the garden during a barbecue. It goes on and on and on, one take, while all these people deal with a situation. They keep quizzing her. You know, mother says, "Oh, she works at the factory with me. What do you do there?" "Well, I examine eyes."
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
I want to emphasize the sequence because it is very hard to do this, and critics go nuts about one-take sequences, and I always wonder whether the general audience picks up on what we're really so excited about. Here are characters passing by each other, talking, constantly talking, and it's more than just a stunt.
Yeah.
This is real. It plays real. To chop that up, to edit that up, is to present a lie, and this is the truth.
It's a great sequence, and the movie is not only serious, but it's funny, too.
At times.
Yes, it is, and it's entertaining, too. When we come back, Danny Aiello and James Spader are among the many characters caught in a web of violence in 2 Days in the Valley.
I don't know what you're talking about.
There's no sense in trying to protect Helga. She's dead. And to decide the rest of your life, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. If you lie, you die.
2 killers there, played by Danny Aiello and James Spader, invade a bedroom in the San Fernando Valley and play a cruel trick on their intended victim in that scene from 2 Days in the Valley. This is a movie that connects a lot of stories, a lot of violence, and a lot of slick dialogue in a very ingenious way. It's like Pulp Fiction meets Shortcuts. Terry Hatcher plays the ex-wife of that victim in the previous scene. Escaping from the death house, she flags down 2 men played here by Jeff Daniels and Eric Stoltz.
He's dead. Somebody killed him. Do you have a car phone? I need to call the police.
Lady, we are the police.
Turns out, though, the plot is deeper than it seems. After she leaves the police station, Hatcher gets in a car driven by the girlfriend of Spader, the killer. She's played by Charlize Theron.
You were supposed to shoot him at his place.
We didn't tell you where we were going to do it. Lee told you. He didn't want you to know when or where it was going to happen. That way you're out of it. You can't be connected.
Can't be connected. I was 3 inches away from him.
Meanwhile, the Aiello character has escaped being killed by Spader and has taken hostages at a house in the Hollywood Hills.
Go ahead. Shoot me. Shoot me. What are you, crazy?
I think he's suicidal.
We all have our flaws.
I like the ingenious way the plot linked together, somehow connecting all of these very different people. I like the vignettes of the way people work and live, and I also like the way John Hertzfeld, who wrote and directed it, found so many different notes in the dialogue, from tough to weird to funny.
I liked it, too. And I actually found, of all the characters, probably the one that I would have least expected to be compelling was that blonde woman, played by Charlize Theron. It would seem to be the kind of throwaway dumb bunny that you'd find in a picture, but there's an earnestness about her, an energy of her character and the performance that's hard-edged and not silly. And the desperateness of her character, the sick joy of her character, all of that is, I think, in very much the spirit of this picture, which I liked a lot, too.
You know, one thing I thought about watching these characters, you know, 6 degrees of separation, we're all just 6 degrees separated from anybody else, or 3 degrees. These people all seem to have gotten within about 1 degree and then fallen back. And that's it. They all live on the outskirts of this Los Angeles that's created in the media and in our imaginations and in movies. And they all want to kind of connect with the world around them, and they all fail. They have these kind of tawdry ambitions.
Well, the spirit of the valley, and the reason it's placed in the valley, of course, is that you've got this seemingly lovely setting, and yet it has its tawdry side.
Yes,
there are too many street signs in the valley. They're all over the place, and there are too many of these fringe characters whose lives just aren't exactly what they wanted to create when they decided to move west to California. Coming up next, an emotional thriller called Caught, about a drifter who is taken into the bedroom of a woman bored with her life.
Does the old guy still have it?
Yeah.
Or the kid from nowhere, the young buck, our lucky leprechaun? Will he take the day?
Ta-da! That's a scene from our next film called Caught, and although many of its scenes are absolutely preposterous, the tension in this film is undeniable, I think, as a stranger enters the troubled lives of a fish store owner, his bored wife, and their troubled failure of a son. The young drifter is played by a charismatic Ari Verveen, who is comforted by the shopkeeper's wife, Maria Conchita Alonso, much to the surprise of her workaholic husband, played by Edward James Olmos.
Honestly, I'm fine. Once I get some food into me, I'll be good.
There's a homeless shelter about 2 blocks down.
Homeless shelter? He'll get knifed and raped, Joe.
What do you want to do, take him home with us?
Well, she takes him in nonetheless, gives him a job, and also her long-gone son's bedroom.
The sheets are clean. Here's a shirt and a pair of old boots. I don't want you to die of pneumonia on your first day on the job.
I'll try not to disappoint you.
When the son, a failed comedian, returns unexpectedly, he catches his mother by surprise. She's been having sex with the stranger.
Where's the boss?
Hi, what's the problem? Amy?
Amy, yeah.
Hi.
That's nice to meet you. Very nice to meet
Good
you.
to meet you. How are you? Well, it's about time, huh?
Peter.
Who's this little guy? Hi, little guy. What's the matter? Come here. Come over here with Papa.
Now, some of the sex scenes in this picture are preposterous. Not emotionally, not at all. Just in location. Would a woman have sex in the shower while her husband slept nearby? And yet, I'm not sure if it's the clearly drawn characters or the performances or both. But emotionally, Caught rang true for me. I'm a little stunned by that, but I can't deny it. I will not forget these characters nor their emotions. It's a mixed review, but thumbs up from me for Caught.
The way the movie builds is interesting because at first you think it's going to be some kind of a triangle or something. Then when that son enters the picture, and he's very good,
very well
and
played,
very mixed up, and the way that he stirs the pot brings you to a conclusion that is really astonishing.
Also, there's tension between the father and the son, so that this is more than just, as you mentioned, a love triangle. It's a good story.
When we come back, a kid from Wisconsin moves to the Big Apple and maybe finds love, he thinks. Ed's next move is next. Next Move, and it's one of the more quietly charming and slyly heartwarming comedies of the year about a shy scientist from Wisconsin who moves to New York to work on the genetics of rice. He's played by Matt Ross, as the kind of guy who knows that it's possible to have a good relationship in theory, but has never come anywhere close to one himself. Here he finds a new roommate who claims to be a ladies' man.
4 women in 1 elevator?
I haven't been with 4 women in the same time zone.
That's Kevin Carroll as the roommate. It's a small neighborhood, and when Ross and Callie Thorne both witness a car accident, it's an excuse for him to remind her that they've met before. She has an after-hours job as a singer in a band, and although that's a kind of a movie cliche, I thought the band looked and sounded convincing, kind of like low-rent Liz Phair.
You fell off a cliff, so I buried you. I wish there were more bad times to see it through. You never had rabies, you never gained weight, you never came home with a scar.
Ed's Next Move is one of those movies that sneaks up on you. For the first half hour or so, it kind of meandered, and I wondered what it was up to, but then I got hooked. It's not driven by a formula plot out of a textbook. It has the casual drift of real life, and eventually you can see how these two people might be happy together if they could only figure out a way to talk to one another. The performances are right on the money. The chemistry is sweet between Matt Ross and Callie Thorne, and you realize this relationship is a lot closer to real life than the high-octane couplings that pass for romance in a lot of movies.
I think that's a good review, Roger.
Thank you, Gene.
I went for about 45 minutes maybe before I turned the corner on this film. Some of the scenes are awkward. There's that old business of where you invent characters who really say what you're thinking about. He sticks them in a Wisconsin farm field, and that just is amateur night. But again, I think it's the lead character here
Matt Ross,
who doesn't push it, who is shy, convincingly shy, and you've got, you know, maybe a fish out of water. He's a nice kid, and you can't help but root for him. And this girl doesn't respond to him as quickly as she might in other kinds of pictures, so it does unfold in a natural way, and I think it's a decent picture.
Coming up next, the thumbs are revolving, and we're going to talk about an actor and some festival prizes.
California style, adjacent to Beverly Hills on LA's fashionable west side, the Century Plaza Hotel and Tower, a Westin hotel.
And now it's time for our new feature, The Revolving Thumbs, giving positive and negative reviews to more than just movies. And a development I've noticed this month with great pleasure is the reemergence of the acting talents of Jeff Daniels, who first came to national attention in 1983 as Deborah Winger's philandering husband in the hit film Terms of Endearment. After that, he turned in another solid performance in 1986 in Jonathan Demme's romantic thriller, Something Wild. But then Jeff Daniels stumbled badly. I have no idea why, working irregularly and not in very good films, such as the period mystery The House on Carroll Street from '88 and the romantic comedy The Butcher's Wife from 1991. But this month, Daniels, now 41 years old, has made a dazzling comeback. Following two hits from 1994, Speed and Dumb and Dumber, he currently can be seen playing the charismatic father in Fly Away Home, opposite Oscar winner Anna Paquin.
There's your bus. You gotta go.
Are you sure you can handle this?
Yes, I'm sure. Okay, go to school. Go now.
Jeff Daniels is also on view, as we mentioned earlier in this program, in the thriller 2 Days in the Valley, playing a cop at the end of his emotional rope. So he is as credible playing a louse as playing a good guy, and the revolving thumb spins and turns up for the resurgence of Jeff Daniels' movie career. It's great to have him back.
It is, you know, and he's good in those two movies. And what's interesting, as you mentioned, is the fact that he shows a range that reminds us he's a good actor. It's nice to have him
Let me tell you, you remember how hot he was after Purple Rose of Cairo? I mean, we thought, and then this big gap, well, the talent is still there. It's terrific.
Okay, the thumb keeps right on rolling. Some film festivals have juries. Other film festivals are non-competitive, but two of the most important of those, Sundance and Toronto, have something called the Audience Award. This goes to the film that allegedly wins a popular ballot. Moviegoers vote as they leave the theaters. Sometimes Audience Awards produce real winners like Sex, Lies, and Videotape at Sundance or Diva at Toronto. But sometimes the audience votes for less compelling choices. The Audience Award winner at Sundance last January was The Spitfire Grill, a movie we both voted thumbs down for, and the audience could have chosen Big Night, which was a fabulous movie, but they missed the boat at Sundance. And the Audience Award winner at Toronto earlier this month was Beautiful Thing, a movie from England. Well, I spent 10 days at Toronto, and all I can tell you is I didn't hear Beautiful Thing mentioned more than about once. What does this award mean? Well, it's flawed, I think, in two ways. First, it's biased in favor of movies that play in big theaters instead of small ones. And second, anyone can stuff the ballot box all they want. Both festivals should reform their voting procedures. How about asking moviegoers to rank each movie on a scale of 1 to 10? Highest average score wins. That eliminates the bias in favor of big houses. And how about issuing only one ballot per moviegoer per screening? In the meantime, the thumb goes around, and for Audience Awards, the thumb points down.
There are scandals everywhere, and this program will root them out. I'm glad you're on the case. And now let's take another look at the movies we reviewed on this show. Two thumbs up for Extreme Measures, a mad scientist thriller that rises above its conventional aspects due to a strong performance by Hugh Grant. 2 thumbs up, way up, for Mike Leigh's brilliant and most touching Secrets and Lies. 2 thumbs up for 2 Days in the Valley, a clever, murderous, if derivative thriller with strong performances by Charlize Theron, James Spader, and Jeff Daniels. 2 thumbs up on Caught, a domestic drama about a drifter exploding the tensions in an already splintered family, featuring the fine acting debut by Ari Verveen. And 2 more thumbs up. That's 10 in all on one program for the gentle comedy of Ed's Next Move, about a young man from Wisconsin trying to make it socially in New York City. And Roger, this ought to prove once and for all, critics prefer to give positive reviews.
We love to give good reviews, and I think of the 5, the best one is probably Secrets and Lies.
No question.
That's it for this week. Next week we'll be back with the reviews of more new movies, including Tom Hanks' first movie as a director, That Thing You Do, and Liam Neeson as Michael Collins. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.
Extra strength Gas X soft gels. Powerful, fast-acting gas relief in an easy-to-swallow little pill.
What's for dinner? New classic char-grilled fillets, only from Gorton's. Thick, flaky fish, seared with char-grilled flavor. Trust the Gorton's fishermen. Dentine gum. In less than 60 seconds, Dentine's tingly taste will make your breath feel fresh and clean. Brush your breath with Dentine.
I'm mad at Nitol. People who worried about sleep aids used to count me. Now they feel safe with Nitol to help them sleep. Nitol will help you get your Z's.